Hey guys, this is Moriarty.
And this is Brax from the Brax Box.
Today we're taking a look at a game called Panoptic, which is super cool.
The first thing that I think about when I hear you say the game is called Panoptic is the Panopticon, you know, the famous way of monitoring prisoners, right?
That's exactly it. You are a prisoner attempting to escape.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
The giant eye in the sky is actually a player in VR.
Oh, really? That's very interesting.
So they're following you on your PC, and if they catch you out in the open, they can shoot lasers at your face, and if they hit you with the laser, you die.
Oh man, this sounds like one of those games that if I played with my friends, it would be so fun.
This is one of the coolest games I've ever played. So you've got the eye in the sky constantly searching for you and trying to kill you. So it's always about trying to just kind of get away and not be seen and trick them into thinking that you're just an average, everyday prisoner.
Well, that is really cool because it plays so good into the idea of you are always being watched, which the Panopticon is supposed to do to prisoners, which is really, really cool.
It's just so neat. It's so incredibly neat. So like in VR, you're in the center surrounded by walls and walls of all these tunnels and stairs and everything, watching the people run back and forth, and you're looking for the one who's trying to get away.
Okay, so if you are the one that is hiding from the eye, is there an element of stealth, I guess you could say?
If you're in the dark, the person in VR can't see you very well unless you're running, or if you like jump or you're standing in a weird spot. But if you're walking, you look like everybody else.
Really?
So you just kind of blend into the crowd.
Right, so it sounds like it's one of those games where you are constantly on edge then.
Oh, both of you. So if you're in VR, you're going, did I miss him? Did I miss him? Did he already get past me? And you start looking around going, oh man, what if he's already past me? He might get to the end and I'll never know, until suddenly you get caught and you see him and you go, aha, that's where he is.
That is really, really cool. I love the fact that they are doing this sort of stuff with VR. Like, that is the coolest thing about VR that I've seen thus far, is the ability to make games like this.
The asymmetric multiplayer games, oh man, this one is one of the coolest. When it comes to asymmetric multiplayer, you've got your diner duo, which is very fun. It's not quite as competitive. You're working together, right? So it's a co-op game, and it's kind of falls into that. You could still play this game without VR. It's just the VR is a nice little added part of it. You've got Black Hat Cooperative, another asymmetric multiplayer game where it's like, yeah, you've got something where you can probably play this game without VR, but the VR is kind of a cool little added part to this. This is totally brand new. It really feeds into the VR part, and it's so neat. It's by far the coolest experience. I loved every second of this. In fact, I ended up playing both the PC, the VR multiple times. I skipped dinner to play this. It was so much fun.
Ah, you skipped dinner. Awesome. So are there different game modes, or is there only like one game mode? You know, the guy plays the person looking for you and you are hiding, or are there other game modes as well?
That's all there is so far.
Okay.
So the game comes out sometime, I think next year. When it comes out, who knows what they'll have. But for now, this is what it is. It's fantastic already. There are a couple of problems with the game that are more about level design than anything else. For example, in the very, very beginning, there's an elevator that you're in. That elevator doesn't have a top, so the eyeball can just kind of look in and shoot you right away at the beginning.
Right, that doesn't seem very fair to, you know, the player that is hiding.
On top of that, there are certain areas in the map where the NPC characters literally never go. So when you're there, you're obviously the human player.
Well, it is good that we get to identify these things now because it does come out next year and it gives them time to consider this sort of stuff, right?
Absolutely, and those are the things that once they fix them will be super, super cool. For example, you have to walk up to the roof, and then once you walk up to the roof, you have to walk into one of two different tunnels to get to the next section. Nobody is on that roof, ever.
That seems a bit odd.
There's just never an NPC on the roof. And in fact, beyond just that, there's nobody ever in the stairwell to the roof. So the moment that something's in the stairwell, you know that that's the human player.
Right, that's what I was about to ask. If I am the person that is trying to find the player, the eye as it were, I have no way of distinguishing who the player is other than their movement. That is the only way, right?
Their movement, exactly. They look exactly the same.
So no hints of color or shape or anything.
Nothing.
Wow, that is awesome.
The problem with that is that there are certain places where there will never be an NPC.
Right, so imagine I see you, I know that you are the person I'm looking for automatically.
If you're on the roof, immediately I know that is you.
What I am seeing at some points is there are a lot of changes in color. Does that give you an indication of whether or not you are being spotted? Is that a signal for you?
Wherever the orange light is looking, that's where the VR player is looking. And when it turns red, that means that they are activating their laser beam.
Awesome. So if I am hiding, it does give me an indication like, oh no, he's looking right there. I need to move.
There's some little problems, like the fact that, the face can just look right over the top because there's no glass there. There's way too many areas where there are no NPCs, so you will always be the human player. There's little other problems as well. For example, you could, in theory, as the VR player, just go straight to the last portion of the map and begin systematically killing everyone.
Oh, really?
If you did that, then the PC player would be the only person to even walk in that segment of the map, and there would be no hiding at that point.
Yes, it makes it a bit too obvious.
Way too obvious. And you could, because it takes so long to get there, you could just, right from the beginning, go straight over to the end, wipe out every single NPC, and then just wait for the PC player to get there.
Wow, so that is a pretty sizable map then, and it gives you a lot of room to hide. I guess use NPCs to your advantage to try and not get spotted. So my next question is, how do I win? If I am the person hiding, how am I to win? Do you make it to the end of the map and that's it?
All you have to do is get to the end. Just touch the ball at the end.
So touch the target and you win. I got it.
I really think that they need to make some sort of negative for the VR person killing somebody that isn't the player. As it is, there's no reason not to just murder every person you see.
That makes sense, to give some sort of negatives to that. Looking at this, I think the potential for this game is out of the roof. Immediately, that's my first thought.
It's incredible. It's so cool. It's so cool. It's cool to play on PC. It's cool to play in VR. This is one of the few games where I don't feel like any one player is not having a good time.
Yeah, and that is an interesting point to make when you do play the co-op VR. Maybe, like you said, you were playing with your friend, local co-op. Everyone wants to argue over the fun part to play. With this one, you don't have to worry about that.
No, because they're both super cool, and they're a different kind of cool. It's a great game. It's a great game. There's nothing bad to say about this game, other than it just has little tiny problems. And even with those little problems, still played the game for 3 hours.
Right, I want to play it right now. I mean, honestly, that I do.
Also, I would like to see more than one path. For example, there are 2 or 3 spots in the map where there's only one path through. For example, at the very beginning, you got to get to the roof, and then from the roof, you have to walk across the whole roof to one of 2 different tunnels, right? Now, getting up to the roof, there's only one way. And it is really easy to just blockade that path because, again, the NPCs never go there. And then when you're talking about the two tunnels at the other side, you can literally just sit there and camp the room. And you have too much power. You shouldn't be able to just sit and camp the room.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fair either. Another good example of just those little things, right?
And if there was a negative where it's like, but if I shoot you and that's not you.
You did mention that the person playing the searcher, the eye, their laser does have to recharge.
Yeah, but it doesn't take long.
Does it take long enough that if he shot his laser at the PC player, would the PC player have enough time to get away before the laser recharges?
If it wasn't a giant open area, sure.
Okay, so it depends on where you are on the map.
It's all about confusing the VR player, really. And that's why I think there needs to be more NPCs. I think they need to have actual free roam so that they can go anywhere on the map.
And it seems they've tried to create a balance with the amount of sameness, I guess would be the word I would look for, in how the map looks. I guess that would be a benefit to the player that is hiding, because if everything looks similar, it does make it a bit easier for you to blend in at least.
And that's it. You want the human player to be able to blend in as well as they can. Right at this point, I'm actively killing every single NPC.
With absolutely no reason not to.
Right, because there's no reason not to, so I'm just slaughtering them all. It is easier for me to slaughter them all and wait for the human player to expose themselves than it is for me to try and weigh, well, what if that's not a human player? So I'd like to see some sort of a score or something that encourages me not to do that. For example, if NPCs are left alive, my laser recharges faster.
Yes, that was exactly what I was going to say. An idea might be,
If you have all 100 of them alive, it recharges fast. But if you have one alive, it's very slow. Something like a prayer power kind of thing from, some of those populist type games from the old days.
right, that's a really neat idea, and I think it would work well.
Something like that. Something where there's a reason not to just slaughter everyone. The funny part is that he'll actually win this round. Because even though I saw him and I know that's him there, there's enough of a delay when you're recharging your laser that if I waste my laser and he walks out the door at the same moment, he'll get there before my laser recharges. So you see, he wasted that and I saw him and I was like, that's you! But he got there before I could. So if you waste your laser, there's enough time to move from one segment to another.
Right. Is there a sprint feature?
Yes.
Okay, a sprint feature is a must.
Now, if you are sprinting, you're the only thing on the map that is sprinting. Now, I'm okay with that for the sprinting part. I don't think that's a problem. I think if you're sprinting and jumping, you look obvious, and that should draw attention. There should just be more people to hide in certain areas so that it is a little bit easier to get through. For example, the scissor stairs there on the second section, that is way too difficult to get through because there's only two entrances in. You can see the PC player going to one of the two entrances and you can just camp it. That shouldn't be. There needs to be multiple ways through these things. And I'm not saying it needs to be easy for the PC player. I don't think it needs to be any easier for the PC player. I think it is the right amount of difficult for the PC player. But I think it is too easy for the VR player. You could very easily make this a much more competitive game if you said, okay, well, you have some sort of negative for killing NPCs. You have more NPCs or respawning NPCs. Something that just makes it a little bit harder to instantly spot out the human player.
Right, so just creating a little more balance would take this game from awesome to really, really, really awesome.
To must buy, absolutely, day one, get 6 copies for all your friends. Absolutely.
This looks like one of the coolest co-op VR games that I have seen thus far, and I definitely have to play it in the future.
Oh, it's just one of the coolest games, period. So there you go, guys. That's Panoptic. If you like it, like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. Leave us a comment, join the weekly contest. Make sure to subscribe, check out the Patreon, and we'll see you on the next one.